Hey everybody, it's Pete Wagner from Another Fishing Podcast. This is number 16. 3 things make a great podcast. Awareness.
What are they? What are they, Pete?
Awareness of technology, a great command of the English language, and quality topics.
I don't know how we're faring.
Let's do this.
This isn't another podcast. This is another fishing podcast.
So what is up, my homie? I haven't talked to you in
yeah.
a week. Are you at home right now?
I'm at home. I'm in Buffalo, Minnesota, but in a day and a half, I'm going to be whisked away by Southwest Airlines, and I'm going to Clear Lake, California for the Wild West Bass Trail.
Clear Lake.
Do a little emceeing and hosting their TV show.
Isn't Clear Lake like an old haunt of yours?
Yeah. I as a kid, growing up in California, I went there a few times and didn't have a boat. Actually, my buddy of mine, he had this little plastic boat,
Yeah.
It was like a pond prowler or a tadpole, that was the name of it.
Sounds dangerous.
It was. And you get 2 people on that thing, and he had a trolling motor on the back, and I remember we would troll like crankbaits. And he actually, this is no lie, this is on Clear Lake, California. He hooked a carp. It actually ate the crankbait. Okay, it wasn't snagged, or it ate this crankbait. And this crankbait was like, as I remember it, it was like a sunfish. Really well detailed like sunfish, crankbait.
Right.
Great looking crankbait. And this carp ate it, big carp. I remember being like 15, 20 pounds. And so he didn't have a net, and we're freaking out. I tried to land this thing, and it was the most, really, one of the most scary experiences of my fishing career. Trying to land this carp without a net, I managed to, so one set of treble hooks is in the carp, right? The other set is in my hand. And he's still green at the boat, you know what I mean? He's still full of piss and vinegar.
Right.
And I'm like, I am screwed,
And by the way,
he's going to take me down, to the bottom of the lake.
Yeah, there's never a carp landing that is graceful, but if you don't have a net, forget about it. And then you throw in treble hooks in there, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, so I still, if I look, luckily, just when I'm about to just have a panic attack, the hook came out. It was amazing that it did, because it was hooked pretty deep, but I still have the scar. So it's that's my
That's your Clear
connection
Lake
with Clear Lake. The other thing too about Clear Lake, it's got big channel cats in it. Big channel cats, and as a kid I did that too. We would night fish for these channel cats, and all of a sudden we would use crawfish tails, okay? And you'd throw them out on a bottom rig, and all of a sudden, like at a certain time of the night, there would be a wave that came in, and it was awesome. Big channel cats in that lake.
Crawdad tails, huh?
Crayfish, crawdads.
You could find them at like a bait shop?
Whatever you want to call them. No, so there's like these rice paddies, toolies, they call them, in California, throughout the lake. It's like aquatic, emergent vegetation. Okay, like bulrushes.
Right.
You know what bulrushes look like?
Sure.
So, kind of look like cattails, that kind of thing. So, what would happen is these things would be cut. I don't know if someone was farming them. I don't know exactly how, what was going on here, but there would be these big, rice paddies of just these cut toolies. And we heard through the grapevine that was like the best catfish bait, is to use these crawfish tails. So, and we're like, well, what you asked, it's like, where do you get the crawfish tails? Well, whenever these like toolies get cut, it exposes the mud. And there's tons of, I call them crayfish. That's what I call them.
Yeah, me too.
You can call them crawdad, whatever. But they're bright red, and they were all over. So we got like some intel where this recent, toolie, this area was cut. and we went there, and there were everywhere, dude, just like crawling around. So we just grabbed them and put them in buckets, and then we had our catfish.
Grab them with your hand?
Yeah, like old school style, like we learned when you were young.
Right, because if you approach slowly from the back,
yep, that's right.
You can just like grab them right behind the clippers.
That's right.
That's another incorrect term, I'm sure.
Pinchers.
I just recently caught a huge crawdad while I was fishing here in Rochester. I went out and did a little urban fishing.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. Let me finish my Clear Lake thing because I'm really interested in your urban fishing adventure. Because,
I didn't. Yeah, there's not much to the adventure, but go ahead.
Okay. So but anyway, so that's how we did the catfish thing. But one of like the most, still to this day, the most aggressive strike I've ever had by a largemouth was in Clear Lake, fishing a dock. It was actually it was a boat ramp. So the dock at the boat ramp, I take this crankbait and I make a parallel cast, along the side of this dock. And dude, this fish stopped it and just like, it was like a tarpon. It was crazy how hard it hit and then pulled. And it was only like just a 4-pound largemouth is a good largemouth, but it hit it like a 10-pounder.
Right.
And so those are my Clear Lake fishing experiences.
I think it's also...
So that's where I'm going on Thursday.
I think it's also worth mentioning, when you used to live in the Bay Area, meaning the San Francisco Bay Area, you used to fish for like manta rays and what kind
bat
of
rays.
Bat rays. What kind of shark was that? It was.
There was all kinds of sharks. There were leopard sharks.
Leopard shark,
my favorite.
Yeah, and sturgeon. Like that was the first time I ever saw a sturgeon because we were out on the. It wasn't the San Mateo, but it was like the old San Mateo bridge.
The old San Mateo bridge, they just they blew up most of it, but they kept a section of it and made it into a fishing pier.
Yeah, and I have no idea how that guy even got that sturgeon, because it was like a 30-foot drop down to the water or something.
Yeah.
But
I think probably gaffs.
Right.
Just drop,
And I still have nightmares about this, but the most disgusting bait I've still ever come in contact with, and this includes stink bait. If I had to choose, I would take stink bait every time over pile worms. Like, even that name is terrible. I don't even understand what pile worms mean, but a pile worm was like a really thick, like centipede doesn't do it justice, but it probably had 100 legs, and it was long, and it curled
maybe
up.
more than that.
Yeah, and at the end of its face, there was like, I guess you'd call them pinchers. There's one on each side of his mouth, and they could hurt you.
Oh yeah,
and they were
really bad,
and they were hardy too. Weren't they pretty hardy when they were on the hook?
Big time.
Yeah,
big time. Yeah, super hardy, and you use pile worms for like the fish that hung around like the bridge piers, like the different saltwater like perch, white perch. That's what you use the pile worms for.
Right.
And the pile worms, if you search them on YouTube, do an internet search of pile worms, there's been like many, many might be an exaggeration, but there's been some nature shows that have actually showed how they hunt. And
oh my God!
Crazy, dude.
I bet that's haunting.
It's haunting.
Are they like? Were they like native to California, or were they?
Yeah, probably.
But like, how do they? Are they raising them, or like they're not just flipping over rocks and catching those things? Are they?
I think they're probably raising them. I would imagine, but
can you imagine
when you I don't know if you remember you. I mean, that was a long time ago, but you'd buy them in like a cardboard moistened kind of pack,
right?
And it wasn't.
Pro
I don't
pack.
remember.
Wasn't a pile worm pro pack?
Yes, it was a pro pack of pile worms. Say that 5 times fast. A pro pack of pile worms. Whatever. That's not that hard, I guess. So you'd get them in like this moistened kind of like cardboard box, and I remember there kind of being like, like seaweed or something kind of on it, that they could live in sort of, but it wasn't much. It wasn't like night crawlers. It wasn't a dirty thing. But what you had to be careful of is that and you wouldn't know it, because do you remember that toy when you were a kid? It was like in the 80s where it was like this. It was like a big. How do you describe it? It was like a big slug, but it was a toy. But it was made of like soft rubber. And inside was like this gelatinous kind of material, but it was fun because it was like a slinky, but it would just kind of move out of your hands, and the fun of it was trying to keep it in your hands. You know, it's this thing just kind of. Do you remember that thing?
Yeah, I was talking about. It was kind of it would
invert itself.
It would invert
you know what I mean?
itself.
Like,
it was always feeding the hole in the middle of the.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, like how nature works. That's exactly how this pile worm works. Is that its business end is inverted most of the time until it feels threatened or is going after prey.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it's you look at its head and it looks like an anus. If you didn't know better, well, it looks like an anus. And so if you didn't know about pile worms, you go, oh, that's just kind of funny that this worm has a head that looks like an anus, you know, like that's how. Well, what happens is if it feels threatened or needs to eat, it comes out, it like inverts or outverts. I don't know the right terminology here. From that anus comes these pinchers that just can pinch the hell out of you. I mean, painful.
Yeah.
And so if look at like National Geographic or something sometimes, these worms, what they do is they have a hole in the mud and their head comes out, right? And it's got like these little, their head comes out of the mud and it's got like these little tentacles on it, right? These little tentacles almost looks like an enemy, you know?
So and then live in the water, huh?
Oh yeah.
But when
they're in the bottom of the ocean.
But the bait box didn't have water in it, right?
No, it's just moist. They could just be moist, I guess.
And it would just keep them alive, huh?
So what would happen is this worm, then to catch prey, it's got these little tentacles, you know, and that would attract fish to it. And then when a fish comes closer, then it goes and it like grabs them with their pinchers.
Right. So it's
crazy. It's eating, dude. It's eating like everything with those pinchers.
Oh,
you should look it up. Look at like National Geographic.
I'm looking at one right now. It's totally grossing me out.
Yeah.
And that was probably a natural forage for those fish in the Bay Area, huh?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
they
looks
love
like
them.
A West Atlantic kind of thing in South Africa or something, but
West Atlantic?
That's what that says. I don't know what that means.
This is in the Pacific Ocean. I don't know. They're probably every ocean.
What did it say?
They're a worm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, is Northwest Atlantic as well as the Gulf of Maine and South Africa, but this might be a different one.
Yeah, there's all kinds of them.
Oh yeah, they're calling this one the clamworm, but it looks like it. You know, it's that same sort of family.
Yep.
But yeah,
hey, before we go ahead, I
was just gonna say, if I ever make like a James Cameron sort of horror sci-fi movie, you know, I would base the entire thing on the pile worm.
The pile worm, and just so you know, if you're ever going to go out and fish the San Francisco Bay, the pile worm was not the ideal bait for sharks and stingrays. The pile worm was if you're like going after these, you know, like I said earlier, these fish that are hanging around the bridge pilings and stuff.
What were
like
you catching the rays on?
Squid.
Oh, squid.
Fantastic bait, man. And the other thing too, if you could find, it's probably, by the way, we should really look this up, dude. It's probably a fantastic channel cat bait. Squid.
Why not?
Dude, and the thing about it is, it's super durable.
Yeah.
Super durable.
And you'd be the only one throwing them in there, too.
Only one throwing it, dude. It was like sharks and stingrays loved it. That's what I'd use for bait. But I want to bring something up that's it's been weighing on me here, and I know you're going to get disappointed, but I got to bring it up here because it just has to. We need to talk about it.
Oh no. Is this about my gas problem?
No, that's never really bothered me that much. It's just been something I've kind of just lived with, you know.
We're usually outdoors.
Right.
It helps.
But you do have a bit of a problem there. That is true. But we were planning on putting a muskie. Did the folks at home hear that?
Nope.
You're on mute or no?
No, I wasn't on mute. I was drinking a beer. And we were talking about my gas, so.
Makes sense.
Or fly.
So we had planned on We've got this Musky video.
Oh, no.
We've got this fantastic Musky video. And we're planning on getting that Musky video up next Tuesday. Well, as I've stated in earlier podcasts, and Pete knows this very well, I'm not a natural-born editor. Okay? And I'm glad you're laughing, but I am definitely not a natural-born editor.
I want to see this video so bad. You have no idea.
I know you do. I know you do.
This isn't just about getting it posted. It's like I just am desperate to see it.
It's really good, but the problem is it's at the point right now where it's not a lot of fun. Because what I have to do, where it's at right now in the process is basically a normal TV show, okay, what you do before to finish a show, to master a show, to finish a show is a better term, is you have to mix the audio, and that's a painstaking process. I don't think anybody on YouTube really understands even what that is.
Oh, that's not getting done.
Yeah. And then you also need to color correct video, which there's some great, I shouldn't say people on YouTube. There's a lot of people on YouTube that do all this. Maybe not so much on the fishing side of things, but, you know, I see plenty of well-produced stuff. There's well-produced stuff in fishing too. But
right.
I'm at a point though, but I cannot put these videos out. I just on our eel pout episode, okay, I actually didn't even color correct that. I mixed the audio, but I'm like, you know what? Does it even matter?
And you have to color correct every clip piece by piece. You know, you can't just...
You color correct. No, when you master a show, when you finish a show, every single shot you're color correct.
Right.
You're also making, like in broadcasting, broadcast television, the levels have to be legal. You know, you can't have super hot video. You can't, it's like there's standards that television stations impose.
Right.
Channels, and that doesn't exist on YouTube. My point in all this, though, is that for our feature episodes, I don't want to put anything out there. When I did the eel pout episode that we did, and I put it out without color correcting it, it still to this day is haunting me.
You're sick, man.
I know I am.
People are watching it on their phone with like bad cell phone connections. No one's gonna see it. But if I did want one to look glorious, I would want it to be this one, I guess. But
so it's at that point where it's the most time consuming. It's where you add music, you audio mix, and you color correct.
Right.
It's the most tedious part, and yet I do not want to skip it for these feature episodes. I want our feature episodes to be the best thing that we produce, something that we could even put on television. Right,
and part of the complication with this particular episode, and I'm not giving you any excuses, I'm still going to hold your feet to the fire, is that we had a ton of footage because we had 2 full days of shooting with, I think 3 GoPros running at all times, right? Because there was 4. Because we had one on Maina and one on us on the windshield, and then we both had chesties on, right?
Right.
I think we had 4 of those going, plus the handheld camera.
Yeah.
And, when you put all that together, and then for part of the deal with our feature episodes is we pick a location, sit down, and shoot interviews based off of the show, just to make it seem like a real professional kind of, TV show, that sort of style of shooting. If you looked at any of our feature episodes, that's how we do it. So then you have to add all that interviews in, and then you're editing interviews and finding the right moments to place all that stuff in there. So it's more than just, cutting it up and chucking it out there. These take a little bit of love, so so be it. It's going to end up being great. So, but I do desperately want to see it, and I want to see it as close as possible to Musky opener. But I'm assuming, June 9th is the one I'm aiming for? I don't even know what day that is. You shooting for
June Musky opener is this weekend.
No, I mean as far as the day you're shooting to get it out there. That would be a week from Tuesday, right? Or no.
I don't even know.
A week from next Tuesday, anyway?
Because my June is so blown to bits. And here's the other thing. Okay, so I got an episode. You may have seen it. I dropped and this is part of the other thing too, is like I have a certain amount of I have a threshold, so of editing that I can do, because I'm not a person that wants to sit in front of a computer, dude.
Sure.
Like, I'm a good editor and I'm a good writer, I feel like, but I don't want to do that only that for a career, because I can't stand sitting in front of a computer for too long.
I hear you.
The stuff that I enjoy doing is outside.
Yeah. And we've talked about this, like you have the freedom of having a Mac laptop that you can edit on.
Yeah, that's the problem. If I had a laptop, this would be an easier thing. But right now, for me to edit, I have to sit in my basement during, especially right now, beautiful weather. Okay.
Right.
And like in Minnesota, you've got only so long.
Summer's almost over, essentially.
Yeah. So it becomes very stressful, I'll be quite honest. So I was able, as we've talked before, we have to get a video up every Tuesday and Thursday. Okay?
You've talked about that before?
Yes. Are you just hearing this for the first time?
No. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I think if you listen to this podcast, you've heard it 16 times.
So the reality is that I got a video up today.
You did. So and I haven't had a chance to see it. Oh, Twins just won. Twins win. Best in baseball. Not to get off topic.
I'm wearing my Twins hat, baby.
Baby. And we beat the Brewers, which is fun. What was I just saying? Sorry.
Oh my God.
I get distracted.
You have got an audience, a huge audience here that's just...
Well, I know, but they appreciate my love of baseball, I'm sure, and how I got sort of thrown off track by that whole thing, I guess.
We were talking about I just uploaded a video today.
Oh, thank you, yeah. So I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but this was related to a shoot you did a while back, and this is kind of a second part in that entire 2 days of shooting. Is that how much?
That's correct. So I want to talk about that video, but let me just let's just bookend this Musky thing. Okay, so here's how I'm looking at it. To finish this Musky show, there's not a whole lot left to do on it, but it's got to be something that I pretty much do late at night, and I can't. It's too much. It's too much for me to be like, oh my God, I could be outside right now, and it's torture, dude. Do you know, like that would be our 6 feature episodes. Do you know how many days, like beautiful days, I could have been outside, could have been fishing, that I spent editing on those things?
It's ridiculous.
Tremendous amount of like pressure and anxiety I feel around these future episodes.
You shouldn't have that, but I know what you're saying. It's just you feel like you should get them out. And by the way, tomorrow I'm going to be editing this podcast on the day I should be fishing. But tomorrow it's going to be raining till 2 in the afternoon. So I'm going to be sitting outside on my patio, which has a roof over it, and then I'm going to edit this podcast in fresh air.
And that's why my next big purchase after I pay off all this gear that's around me right now is going to be a laptop that I can edit on.
Yeah, it's somehow psychologically pleasing to have a cool wind on your face and there's a great sunset out there, or like even if it's raining and there's thunderstorms rolling, that's like the best thing, because you can't really be doing anything anyway. You might as well be editing. But there's something about it. It like doubles your capacity and like your tolerance, you get less frustrated. Like, I don't know if it's just more oxygen or just like we function better out of doors. Honestly, dude, I'm not an inside person. I can't, it's hard on me.
I don't, that's why I'm not a gamer, dude. Like, these it's like, I'm not a gamer.
Yeah.
I've tried to be a gamer before because I think I'm impressed by the graphics and whatnot of these games, but I'm like, okay, I need to be outside now. It's so much more interesting. Reality is way more interesting.
I'm with you, but I'm a gamer, so I don't know exactly how to deal with that. Like, most of my gaming goes on between, like...
You're a grown man, man. When did that happen where, like, gamers became adults? Like, it used to be just, like, playing a video game, you were a kid.
You really can't figure that out?
I can, but I think it's kind of sad.
games were invented when we were kids.
I know.
We grew up with the games.
I still think it's kind of like lame.
Like the average demographic for a gamer, I think, is in their 30s.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And I remember as a kid going, wow, man, what if they made a game like a movie? You know?
I know. We used to play Pong in your dad's house.
Yeah, it was a classic.
For those of you young people listening, Pong was a game where you had a line you could move up and down, and then a square, quote-unquote, ball would bounce off your line, and you could hit it to the other person like tennis, and if you missed, the other person would score a point.
Yeah,
and we would play it over and over and over.
But you could still be competitive with it, you know. It's a simple game, but it did require some skill.
It did. It's just funny to see. You know, the world's so different now.
Oh, it's crazy.
I will point out, they still have yet to make any fishing video game that is remotely entertaining.
Terrible.
They're always just terrible. Even on your phone, there's a ton of them, you know, and they'll get great reviews, and I'll play it, and I'm like, none of these people actually fish. All this stuff is terrible, and it makes me so angry, you know?
Yeah, I still can't figure out why they haven't been able to master that, you know, like a good,
I don't know.
It's like they're always holding the rod wrong and everything, and I'm like,
everything's
I
just bad.
can't take this game seriously.
And they have sponsors, you know, they have like legitimate
Rapala.
fishing gear sponsors.
Rapala's always been a big one. Have you noticed that? In
totally,
like fishing video games.
But they put their stamp on a game that sucks.
Garbage.
You know, it's like, if you were a kid, you know, you'd be like, I just wasted $50 on, what is this company? Rapala? Well, I'm going to avoid that for the rest of my life, you know? Come on. Rapala was always so great about putting out, you know, really simple. In Minnesota, you would even see billboards, but even in magazine commercials, and everything was so classy, and like it was European, and it was just smart. You know, it made you want it, even though it was expensive.
No, I still to this day. I mean, admittedly, I haven't. Well, their billboards are throughout Minneapolis.
Yeah, the only thing that's ever tarnished their name is video games.
Right. Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
It's terrible.
You're right. You're right. But yeah, I always thought their commercials were the best in fishing. Mm-hmm. Great commercials.
Yeah. Even their TV commercials were.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh.
TV commercials.
Well, I love their In Fisherman.
That's all there used to be back in the day. Remember, there wasn't anything there. You know.
Right.
It was only TV commercials. Now there's we have internet commercials. Wow, what a world we're living in, Pete. We're living in a future.
I love when you get that, you know, inside the Rapala package, which was kind of deluxe anyway, and then there'd be sort of a manual in there, you know, that would be all this fine print, and you could unfold it, and it was like 7 or 8 pages, you know, of just sort of explaining different strategies and countdown wraps and all that stuff.
That was great. That was great stuff. There's some fishing packaging now that I wish they would do that.
Right.
You know, it's like, I mean,
you love it.
If I was new to the sport, I'd be like, what the hell do I do with this? You know, what do I put as a trailer? You know, if you're on this, what do I? You know, how do I?
Right.
There's a lot of packaging that's like there's nothing to help the angler out, maybe the beginner angler.
I totally agree. Even me in the bass world, like a lot of that stuff is foreign to me. Everything I've pretty much learned, I've learned from you, just because you're kind of firsthand on a lot of that stuff.
Well, it's because I'm a bass master.
You're a bass man, and you're out there watching those guys fish, you know, so you kind of see what they're using firsthand. But like for me, I'm always just like, okay, I guess we're just gonna throw on another spinner bait.
Yeah, well, a spinnerbait, you know, you might want to try a chatterbait too. It's very similar. You could fish it a little bit more like a jig, but you might want to kind of broaden your horizons. Maybe throw a chatterbait. Yeah.
I had jigging down for a couple summers, but I haven't went back yet. I don't fish a lot of places that have docks anymore, which just kind of takes the fun out of a lot of jigging, but you can still jig.
Speaking of you bass fishing, so obviously the Musky show's not going up Tuesday, okay? It'll go up soon. Okay? I'm going to do my best to get this thing done this month. All right?
Do it, Greg.
All right? So, are you able to get that Leech Lake largemouth episode up on Tuesday?
That's my plan. I mean, it is so huge.
Well, then make it not. Here's the thing, dude. There is no excuses. We got to get a video up Tuesday and Thursday. Okay? So, for instance, this video that I just got up, with this collaboration video with Joseph Herrick, hitting the big smallies in the big wood.
Oh, snap.
That was a video that I could have spent some more time on, but I knew I had a deadline. I got that thing up there.
You brought yourself.
We cannot. I'm telling you, Pete. It's got to be a video Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays. We get like this has got to be like we're making sausage, dude. Okay, we're like at a sausage plant factory, Hormel, baby. We're back in Austin.
Sausage.
Back in our.
I make pulsa at the store.
Polska kielbasa, baby.
Yeah.
All right, so you can manage that. Because I can.
That's what I mean.
Huh?
I won't make any promises, but that's what I'm aiming for.
Oh God. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Turnabout's fair play, I guess. Well, I don't even know what that means. Turnabout is fair play.
I probably have 6 hours in on that already, and I'm still just cutting footage out of like full files and dropping it on the timeline. And
Didn't you do an urban fishing thing that could be quicker?
That probably would be quicker. I'm just not a big fan of that one. You know, just it's kind of silly.
But
like,
you know that
to make it funny, because it is kind of funny, stupid, and to make it funny, you have to put work into it. You know,
right, I gotcha.
You know what? I'm really. I've been pondering this concept of, so every time I catch so I just went fishing around Rochester on a day that I was unable to do anything else. I'm like,
Rochester, Minnesota. Remember, we're national.
That's right. And I wanted to see and Rochester's full of rivers. It's got the Zumbro and Crescent and Bear Creek, and the whole city was just designed by rivers. It's just cut apart, and all of it's flood controlled now. So it's not as charming as it once was, I'm sure. It probably was full of trout back in the day. But, so I kind of had this...
but they're not native. Trout are not native, remember. So
the brookies are, but...
What's that? Brookies, but they were probably few and far between.
Probably so, but a lot of the creeks are smaller that sort of cut up Rochester.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right. But so I kind of had a disappointing day. I thought I was going to find some trout, and I was catching red horse, but small red horse, which is weird because I've never even seen small red horse, like red horse that were like 10, 12 inches. Because I've always been like, well, where are the small red horse? And then I was catching white sucker, and rock bass, and a crawdad. That's where I got my crawdad. And a chub. I got like
you were into the premium species there.
I was like, and I was literally like fishing by it. You could like Trader Joe's was over my shoulder,
That's great.
And
it's like
so it was kind of funny.
It's like
but where I want to put the time.
Trader Joe's paid some money to get into our video.
Well, they did. Yeah, I guess they kind of did. But I took a lot of footage of just like garbage laying around and graffiti under bridges and stuff, Yeah. But what I want to do is every time I catch a fish, I want to have like this sounder that kind of goes like urban fishing with like a badass guitar solo, like and then just go right to the next fish. So everything's, you know what I mean? Like put a little work into it so it's so stupid you can't not, you're like, okay, this guy's being ridiculous, almost mocking the online urban fishing movement,
Right, yeah, ditch fishing, all that stuff.
Right. So
I'm all for. I'm not.
But I guess essentially what I'm saying is I'm deep into the leech thing right now, and I think I'm just going to go for the finish line on it. And
I believe in you, Tuesday. Okay? I believe in you.
And the same thing with leech. I had a frustrating amount of wind-burnt footage, if you want to call it that, where...
And also just video problems.
Right, but the video problems I had was a card that was the first day, which is an uneventful day, because I didn't find anything the first day. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't too bad, but I'm used to having it on my chest, and you forget how much having it on your chest helps with wind reduction.
Totally, yeah.
Because you can have your back to the wind, but when you put it on the ram mount, like on my boat, and it's just sitting on the other end of the boat by itself, it really gets whipped. And by the way, my mount just came in the mail today, so I have a perfect mount now for a directional mic with a windscreen that mounts directly next to the GoPro, and I'm just going to point it at myself and problem solve, so I'm kind of excited. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm going to get the leech lake shoot up. I got some work to do, but that will be the plan. So,
all right, I like your plan. Thank you for.
Yeah, I'm still incredibly disappointed in you, though. And
yep, I'm disappointed in myself, but the reality is, I I reached my threshold getting that video out, getting
I
the
thought this
collaboration video.
I thought the video was done 5 months ago. That's where I'm really thrown off by.
You'll get it when you get it. Okay.
Like I was waiting for it to post one night.
The reality is, I've never wanted to be an editor.
I know.
mean, here's the thing.
Trust me,
I've never wanted to be an editor.
If you listen to this podcast,
I learned how to edit at Bass Pro because I was like, well, I need job security here, baby. But it's not like, oh, I'm a passionate. Oh, I love to,
No,
I know how to do it.
But I'll tell you what, like going through this Leech Lake footage, I really am enjoying it. Like, really am. And
well, you haven't done it enough. Do it for 20 years.
To make I don't know if I could make a great show out of it, because my same problem was I caught a ton of fish, but it's kind of the same thing just happening over and over again. And when you're by yourself, it's weird,
Yeah, it is.
You're just trying to, and I wasn't trying to dress it up. I just wanted to make it what it was. But there was a lot of sections where I'm talking to the camera, setting up shots, and this is where I'm at. This is what I'm trying to do, and it's just like the wind is blowing so hard, you can barely hear me. So I think I have to use some of that with subtitles,
Sure.
Just to make it work. And then you can tell the wind will just die down sometimes, and it sounds absolutely amazing, And then eventually I put the chesty on, and it sounds great when I'm doing that. But
that Hero 3, that was the Hero 3, right? The GoPro Hero 3?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a great, maybe one of the greatest GoPros. And here's the thing, dude, I don't know if you've noticed, but DJI just came out with a camera that is really, I'm going to tell you, I think it's overused to call, say it's a GoPro killer. I've heard this term used before. But
DJI
they essentially
made what? Like,
DJI makes, they make drones. They make that little Osmo Pocket that I have.
Right.
Well, they just came out with an action camera, their first action camera. And the thing about this thing is that it has a front-facing screen. So you can do selfie, you can frame up,
Yeah.
And so if someone was thinking about buying an action camera, I'd be like, I would actually steer them towards that right now. And plus, it's $50 cheaper.
Jeez.
So
what was that thing you sent me?
GoPros, dude, I'm telling you, GoPros, like, they could be in trouble.
You sent me a text of a new GoPro something or another, did you? I couldn't see what that was.
No, that was DJI. That's what I said. I said
the attachment was acting wonky, and I forgot about it until you just said this.
Yeah, it's DJI owns the drone market, dude. And honestly, they own the gimbal market, and this is really a shot across the bow of GoPro. Like, if I was GoPro, I'd be like, I don't even know. Their Karma drone was a disaster.
GoPro had one?
Yeah, when GoPro came out with the Karma drone, it was the same time that DJI came out with this Mavic drone that just blew it out of the water.
What's the brand of your drone?
DJI. That's what you have too. That's all.
Is
DJI.
It really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the one that I gave you. That's when DJI was first kind of getting into drones as a way to film,
Yeah. And so people don't think I'm an idiot. Greg brought me an amazingly huge and awesome drone I've seen in action before, which I have yet to fly.
All our aerials are from it, basically.
Yeah, it's an intimidatingly big drone. It's got 6 props on it, right? And it comes with
it's a hexacopter, man.
It comes with a laptop. And then it sends a signal to the laptop so you can see your shot live.
No. I need to show you how to use all that stuff. But it sends a signal. The laptop is only for if you needed to download firmware updates or anything like that. But
wasn't that giving you a live feed?
No. The live feed comes through the screen. There's a TV that also comes with that's in the same.
So I'm talking about, there was a backpack, a laptop, and a TV screen, and this huge drone.
Yeah.
There's a couple hard cases. It is full on. I'm gonna do my research. It'll be much easier probably if I have you here one day.
I need to be there because I also need to show you about the lithium polymer, the LiPo batteries, and how to, And you don't want to,
you in a locker
especially
right
a drone that big. You don't want to be flying over people.
Right, that's the thing. It's the kids were like, "Let's fly it," and I'm like, "I'm pretty sure I could kill both of my kids with this."
Yeah, thing. Someone could get hurt. under that.
I think it'd take a finger off for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah. It could seriously, I don't know if it could take a finger off, but it'd get to the bone.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Like
yeah, so
worm.
I don't even know how we got on that conversation. But let's talk about the video that we just posted today, which is Tuesday.
Or 2 days ago.
2 days ago, because we always put our podcasts up on Thursdays.
Correcto.
So this is a video that it's actually a 4-part series. This is part 2. I shot this with Joseph Herrick. Joseph Herrick, he was on the New Canoe team. I don't believe he's on the New Canoe team anymore. He wanted to test out some different kayaks and stuff like that. But he came up last summer, and I took him out on the Mississippi River, and it was in June that we did this. And actually kind of similar conditions to how we have right now. The water was high, it was moving pretty good. And the interesting thing about this time of year for smallmouth is that they're not on top water very well this time of year. You want to wait till like July, August, July is when, boom, they start really getting on top. But I'm telling you, dude, like a spinnerbait, you'd love this, Pete. A spinnerbait this time of year, like a chatterbait, is awesome. But also, so in this video, I saw a video done by what's it? It was Wired to Fish. You ever heard of Wired to Fish?
Yep.
So this was like maybe 2 years ago. I saw this video. And I believe they did the video up on the Otter River, Otter Chain of Lakes. What's Ottertail River? Ottertail
Right.
River? Is that right?
That's
the name
where
of the
that
river,
guy
right?
was catching all those catfish in clear water. Who was that guy?
Exactly. That river. So that's up in northwest Minnesota. Amazing area. Oh my goodness, amazing area. Amazing largemouth fishing, but also smallmouth fishing in this Ottertail River. And what they did, there was a snag, okay? A fallen down group of trees. You typically look at a snag like that and think, oh, that's catfish territory, those channels and flatheads in there. They stuck an underwater camera down on a pole, dude, and you wouldn't have believed how many smallmouth were down there.
Was there cats with them?
Oh yeah. Dude, I did a show for the Next Bite, it's probably like 5 years ago now, 6 years ago now. We went on the Ontonagon River, and I believe that was in Michigan. Which is a medium-sized river, okay? We did a walleye show on that river, and all they did was pitch jigs, heavier jigs, and I'm not talking bass jigs. I'm talking like a weedless. Beef Fish and Tackle makes a weedless jig that's perfect for this. It's called the Dragon Jig. But it's essentially you pitch that thing into those snags, dude. And you can pitch just a jig and minnow style deal, or you can put a trailer on there like what's a good trailer, like a Gulp minnow, like a 3 or 4 inch Gulp minnow on there, and you just it's like bass fishing, dude. You pitch that jig, in that stuff, and the walleyes are in there too. Everything uses it. Of course everything uses it. Why wouldn't every game fish use that?
Well, this is the part that always freaks me out about just being a fish in general. And as humans, we can't relate, because like if you're a 1 pound smallmouth, the last thing you want to do is be in the vicinity of a 5 pound catfish. And at some point, they're just like, I think I'm big enough now to hang with these catfish.
Right.
Like
That's right.
What a crazy way to live.
It's a crazy way to live, but it's also like all those branches are creating like current breaks in there. And
for sure.
Security and cover, and dude, so that's what I did, man. In that video, if you watch it, Pete, I'm like, okay, we're going to a section. We're fishing a section now that is full of wood. And I've always caught, my best smallmouth have been near the wood, on like whopper ploppers or buzz baits,
Right.
But I've never penetrated that cover with a big bass jig, dude. I'm talking like a 3/4 ounce bass jig. And that's what I did in this video, and they were in there, dude. There was one tree in particular. I would have caught 3 19-plus inchers out of it. I lost the first one.
Will they pick it up like a largemouth? Like
same deal, dude.
You'll just see it move, or it'll just be solid and.
Yeah, you'll feel that dunk, or something will be weird with your line,
And are they spawning? Like when do smallies?
No. So actually, right now, I imagine the smallmouth are spawning on the river. But last year they were post spawn, and they were. Because we shot that I think June 13th of last year, June 13th, 14th. And
I desperately want to get up there and fish those smallies, and you're not going to be able to fish for like the entire month.
I got to look at my there's little tiny windows that we gotta, but I gotta edit this Musky show, so I can't. No, I won't be able to fish until in July. So
I'm gonna come up and use your boat while you're editing.
Yeah. But dude, it's I hesitate a little bit even putting that up there because I don't know how many people do it,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I've heard, most people are catch and release fishermen. Anybody that actually can do that successfully is going to be a pretty darn good bass fisherman.
Yeah.
So
and
they're
that part of the
releasing
Mississippi,
them anyway.
You can't even get a motorboat out there unless you have a real, specific type of boat.
And here's the other thing too, and I've heard some, actually Gary Parsons say this. And Gary Parsons is this fantastic walleye fisherman that I've worked with for years and years. And he said, it's like, don't keep secrets, like tell people how you're catching your fish. He actually said this, I believe I heard him say this to Corey Sprengel. And Corey Sprengel, man, you look up Corey Sprengel, this guy, he just won in fact, it was in why am I drawing a blank on the newsletter I'm getting from Brett McComas, the walleye, Target Walleye newsletter. In fact, it's in here. So Corey Sprengel just won. He's a young walleye fisherman that like came on the scene, dude, and started like winning tournaments like crazy consistently, which is really tough.
That's crazy
in
the walleye world. Yeah.
So he also has expressed to me that he wants to get into bass fishing, and I said, dude, you could totally do it. You've got the talent and everything. But he just recently won a big bass tournament up in Sturgeon Bay. Okay, but Gary Parsons kind of took Corey sort of under his wing a little bit, and I remember him telling Corey, he's like, don't have any secrets. Just get it out. Your career is going to be better if you just share people with what you've learned. And I really respect that honesty. And there might be some, like, as far as if there's an area, like location that could ruin a spot, or if it's something where it's like a secret location and there's a lot of people that, I'm not going to just, I wouldn't, try to ruin anybody's like fishing area or anything. But as far as a technique, I'm going to share everything I freaking know on here,
right.
If it can be useful to someone. And saying this, I'm by in no means saying I'm a Gary Parsons or a Corey Sprengel. But I'm just saying I like that philosophy of just, just sharing your experience, like, information that with people that could make them a better fisherman. As long, with this caveat, that you catch and release with this information.
Absolutely. Oh, well, especially smallmouth. And by the way, as far as figuring out how smart you are in the fishing world, I have a quiz here that came up earlier. That's 9 questions. Would you be willing to put your ass on the line?
What do you mean?
It's like a Minnesota fishing quiz. Test your angling
well, hold on
knowledge.
for a second. Are we done talking about that video then? Anyway, the video that we just posted, let me just bookend it. The video that we just posted, I was using a 3/4 ounce jig, black and blue jig, just a typical jig that you'd use for largemouth fishing. Pitching
some plastic on the back?
Yeah, just a trailer, bass jig,
Right.
And pitching it into the thickest, fallen down, lay down trees that I could find. And the key to it, dude, is that you wanted to find a tree that was actually, there was current moving through it.
Huh.
You didn't want it in like just a slack area.
Would you leave it lay there, or would you drag it, or what do you do when you get in there?
Dude, most of the, and this goes with just whenever you're pitching anyway, most of the strikes, dude, it's like you make a pitch, you cut, into the thick stuff, you let it drop, and as it's dropping, they're grabbing it. It's a reaction strike. It's a reaction strike. That thing's dropping in on them, and they hit it. You know what I mean?
See the line just slack up.
And then the thing is too, like, I learned my lesson. I'm such a dumbass, dude. I was using 20-pound fluorocarbon, and I broke off on a big fish like immediately.
Oh.
And so you got to use braid for this stuff.
Yeah, why wouldn't you use braid?
Because I was just getting into this, like, testing this thing, right? So I wasn't fully committed to just putting braid on,
Right.
And now I'm like, okay, this is a real deal. Yes, they're in that stuff. Yes, okay, braid.
Yeah, that sounds like a ton of fun.
Dude, it's awesome. So
I think I've only fished that Mississippi with you once.
Is that right?
I had never done it in the summer. We were out there like in a 50-degree day that it should have been, 25. It was, remember?
The thing about it, dude, is that you got to have a trolling motor. You got to have a trolling motor. Dude, the river's swift. It's not a...
And I would love, and a lot of guys fly fish that. Like, I'd love to
that would be such a pain in the butt, dude. Don't even bring it's not a fly fishing, like, river, in my opinion.
How is that possible?
You can do it, but I shouldn't say it's not a fly fishing. It's totally a fly fishing river. But as far as like,
Trout Unlimited, they endorse a guide up there.
Yeah, it's a fly fishing river. But as far as if you have to, if that's going to work, you have to have no. Like, you don't have to have any responsibility with your craft. It's someone else is operating the trolling motor or doing the drift boat paddling. Doing
that's
the
how fly fishing. That's how fly fishing works.
Yeah, you can't. It would be way too much of a hassle.
You would be operating the craft. I'd just be up front fishing. But anyway, So check it out. Greg Fishing and Wood, Joseph Herrick.
I called it fishing the big wood. Fishing big wood. Yeah, fishing.
Did you come up with a clever?
I have no
thumbnail?
idea. If the thing blows up, then I'm gonna call. I want you to call me a genius. With the thumbnail and the titling.
Are we talking over like 50,000? Is that blowing up?
God, dude, I can't even imagine. I'm looking at. I shouldn't do this, but it shows me the potential of YouTube. I get so excited about it, but also so depressed.
You're getting wood?
You just settle down over there in Rochester. So Northwoods has got a video that, like, there's something about flathead catfish. We need to do some flathead catfish videos because they seem to
the only one I've caught it wasn't on camera.
They seem to blow up pretty good. So Northwoods Angling has got this catfish video where
number one game fish.
Yeah,
in the United States.
The flathead catfish is the number one game fish in the United States?
Catfish is.
Okay. So anyway, they've got their thumbnail is a rod loaded up by a bridge, and then the title is, like someone's got a fish on, right?
Right.
I think it's Pete Warner.
It's Pete, yeah.
And he's got a fish on.
Because he showed me this, and I was like, "Who's that guy? What does he know?"
Right.
Like, oh, that's our video. Oh, sorry, guys.
Yeah. So the rod's loaded up. And the title is Fishing for Flathead Catfish Near Bridges. Dude, that video, it's like I think it's close to 1 million views.
What?
Yeah. It's close to 1 million views, dude. I think we have one video that might be approaching 20,000 views, or might be over 20,000 views, but that's because over 4 years. I don't know when I put that, 3 years ago.
When he showed us that, it had been out like a week or 2 weeks, and it just ran, huh?
Ran. And so
good for those guys, man. That's great. And it was a throwaway video for him.
By the way,
worked so hard.
I know, dude. And here's the thing. Here's what's so important, is that that's the beauty of it. Like, you just got to keep right. Right. You never know what video is gonna hit potentially.
No.
And so,
absolutely not.
and by the way, we haven't congratulated them officially. For hitting 25,000 subscribers. And so
let's congratulate them.
They also now they're over 26,000 subscribers, and they were just at 25,000 subscribers. So another fishing show, Northwoods Angling. What I was going to say is another fishing show is extremely envious of Northwoods Angling.
And happy for them.
And happy.
All wrapped in one. Yes. I mean,
but
those guys are a lot of fun.
They're great guys. They're great people.
And they deserve it, man.
They totally deserve it. But here's the thing, dude. They're moving. They are moving places. They're going places because that from 25 to 26 that quickly, dude. They've got these big videos where you get a big video like that. Of course, you're going to get more subscribers, and that thing's just sitting out there.
Everybody
sitting
sees
out there, dude. Getting more views.
A million views.
So
that's
freaking
250
brilliant
million
about
people
YouTube.
in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
It's great. You can get it out there.
So what was the other thing? So congratulations to Northwoods, and I was so tickled that Luke contacted me today because he wants to do a bass video with me on the Mississippi. And there's actually another, I'm not going to say too much about it, but he's got this like secret area that he wants to take me to.
Yeah.
And so,
who does?
Luke. We're gonna do a kayak deal.
Nice.
Together. I hope you don't feel left out.
No.
You could come along, of course. Of course,
you won't get to go fishing. Yeah, you're screwed.
So, but yeah, that is a incredible accomplishment. And then
Luke Hench's.
Luke Hench's.
I saw Luke Hench's race Pete Warner on the Zumbro Lake ice in a full-on sprint and do like a superb face plant. It was one of the funniest things I've seen all year.
Well,
if you've ever seen Luke, he doesn't, seeing Luke, you're not like, that guy's a sprinter,
right? Right.
And I say that in the nicest way.
You're saying
he was for like 5 or 6 steps. He was a sprinter.
Okay.
It was great.
So speaking of Luke, one of the first big videos that Northwood, and here's the thing, dude, we've got to start having guests on our podcast. And I think Luke, Jacob, any of the Northwoods guys, would be fascinating to sit them down and talk to them about their success on YouTube, because we got a lot to learn, brother.
And Luke's a busy cat, man. I fished with Luke one time. We went catfishing. We never got a fish, but he's an entertaining dude. He's got a lot going on, and all he wants to do is fish.
Right.
He's one of those guys.
I can't find this right now, but I've been traveling a lot. I going to different airports and stuff, looking at the magazines they have. I found a Catfish Insider magazine. Okay, I can't find it right now, but Luke Hench's is in Catfish Insider talking about how to catch bullheads for flathead catfish. Did you see that?
He was on the cover of Fisherman. No.
Yeah, so he was on the cover, and that's really kind of set
Catfish Insider. That's that one issue in Fisherman puts out.
Yeah, and now it's like it's so sad. It's like a pamphlet now.
Yeah, and they only put it out once a year, right?
Yeah.
It's just one issue.
Yeah.
So is that the new 2019 one?
Yeah. So he's like on the article in the back about how to catch, talking about bullheads, and then how to catch bullheads.
Can you give me a summary of how to catch bullheads? Because I think I've got that down.
Well, then I guess you don't need to read the article then.
It was like the first fish that I mastered were bullheads. It was more about just finding where the bullheads were.
What are you criticizing Luke's expertise here?
No, I'm curious as to what the article was. Like, how do they break that down? Are they talking bait? Are they talking rigging? Are they talking location?
I want to say that the article itself was about just catching bullheads. It's like
as bait.
Well, no, I think it was Luke was talking about using them for bait, But, these other catfish, these other species of the catfish family, that can kind of act as gateway species. You know what I mean? Which is kind of how it worked for us.
Luke, when I went to his house, he had a giant tank full of bullheads right in the yard.
Be careful. I don't know if that's legal. You just might have just, now the DNR is going to be knocking down his door.
That's not true. He actually had a tank full of goldfish.
Okay, that's what you meant. I got it. Yeah, so that was interesting. He's all over it. So Northwoods really blew up because Luke caught a 100-pound blue cat, and that video blew up. And so that was really...
Is that how big that thing was?
Yeah, that was really the catalyst for that channel.
Yeah.
And then, Luke's been an in fisherman a few times now, a couple times at least.
That's great. That's kind of why I like in fishermen. You know, I mean, they pick these guys up, and it's weird how they find these people now. Because it used to be, you were like a professional, almost like a Hollywood style fisherman, but now they can just use the internet and they can pick up average Joes that know their business and throw them on a magazine.
That's right. Well, listen, they're reading the tea leaves, dude. They see it. They know that the gatekeepers are gone now.
Yep.
And so what's happening on YouTube is like, you can, if you have experience, you can be an expert. It's like you don't need to. I've said this a ton, but you don't need to raise a bunch of money so that you can then get a television show and then buy airtime. If you've got the experience and expertise and you can share that, you can grow to your own audience. And that's what Northwoods is doing. And and so what was funny, one thing that I saw in this article that Luke was in, it was really funny. They said that because they don't dare say YouTube, right? They don't dare say YouTube in this article because that's a competitor, basically, to In Fisherman's television show.
Right.
So they said...
And they're all over YouTube.
Luke Henches has his Northwoods Angling channel. They didn't say YouTube channel. His Northwoods Angling channel, They wouldn't elaborate any further like it was a YouTube channel. They wouldn't dare say YouTube. They just call it his Northwoods Angling. He's got,
they skirt around it.
They said Luke Henches knows what he's talking about with his 20,000 subscribers on his Northwoods Angling channel. They didn't say YouTube. So I just thought that was funny, because they know that it's a totally different landscape now.
It totally is.
Totally different landscape. And here's the other thing that's really interesting too. So we got to collaborate more. Number one with Northwoods, but this Murray kid, I believe Murray also goes by Murda Fishin' More. Have you seen him?
Yep.
Fishin' More. Dude, he's got like 30. I think he's like 30,000 subscribers, and these were people that started around this time that we did, I think. And so we're languishing, and I am tickled to have the subscribers that we do. But the reality is we are sucking hind, boob on YouTube. And so Murray's killing it, Northwoods Angling's killing it, Kayak Catfish, who's another subscriber of ours, is killing it on YouTube. He's got 20,000 subscribers now, doing flathead videos. He's got a flathead video that's like huge. Like it's got 800,000 plus. Views. So, obviously...
It's too bad that Musky video is going up because that one had potential to blow up,
It has better potential to blow up around the time where we actually caught those fish, but it'll get up there. Trust me. Okay, YouTube ain't going anywhere.
We tried to put it up at the time we caught it. All right. Well, we're well over an hour here, but there's two things I want to get to. One, can I give you this quiz real quick?
Sure.
I'd like to see how you're doing it.
Go ahead.
This could be stupid because I haven't seen the whole quiz. It doesn't let you see the whole thing. But it's multiple choice, so you have a shot here. And then the other thing I want to discuss is that North Dakota walleye situation, which keeps getting sweeter and sweeter by the day.
Oh, boy.
All right, so how many lakes are there in Minnesota according to the DNR? I'm not going to go to the
There's over 11,000. It's 11,600.
14, 20, 11, 10, or 7?
11.
All right, we're going to go with 11. And by the way, this is the Minnesota Public Radio.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, look at you.
Yeah, I have artwork that says it in my
How many species of fish are found in Minnesota waters? 130, 162, 205, 58, or 94?
205.
Right, let's see what you got here. Incorrect.
190 something?
I'm so sorry. 162. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Not terrible. I mean, you were in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Not counting Lake Superior, what's the deepest natural lake in Minnesota at 240 feet deep? Mille Lacs, Rainy, Leech, 10 Mile. Oh, and Saginaw, which is the lake I am...
Saginaw.
Yeah, that's the lake I'm departing on this year, which is a good guess.
Is that the right how you say it? It's Saginaw
or
Saginaga?
Saginaga.
Yeah,
correct.
what are you saying that wrong for?
And you're correct, because
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody say it. I just keep looking at it on a map. That's where I'm dropping this year. And actually a month I'm going to be on that lake. And it's 240 feet deep. Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice work.
Yeah, thank you.
Right next to Clearwater Lodge up there where we stayed.
Oh, God, it's beautiful up there. Goodness gracious.
According to a 2011 survey, the most sought-after fish in Minnesota are walleye, muskies, bass, crappie, trout.
Well, it's walleyes.
It has to be, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. Okay.
I can't believe I missed one, though. I'm still, mad at...
Yeah, it's all right. The state record walleye in Minnesota was caught in the Seagull River, at Saginaw Lake in Cook County on May 13th, 1979.
Okay.
How much did it weigh? So, I'm only going to give you, 12, 15, 10, 20, 17.
Say it again.
12 pounds, 15 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, or 17 pounds?
God dang it. I'm going to say 15.
Oh, Greg, how do you not know this?
15
you are
or
a bass man.
15 or 17? 17?
Yeah,
maybe?
17 pounds, 8 ounces.
Dang it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm clicking, but I know that one's wrong. All right. I didn't realize the state record walleye came out of that lake. That's where I'm going to be fishing. That's great.
Yeah, well, just be easy on the fish repeat, okay?
Oh, well, I'm only eating a couple every night. Lake Vermilion near Tower has the longest shoreline of any lake entirely within Minnesota. How many miles, this is a tough one, is on its shoreline?
And on Lake Vermilion?
Vermilion. 265, 290, 345, 405, or 210?
405.
Yeah, that's got to be a shot in the dark, right? And you are incorrect.
Dang
200,
This
290
is a
miles.
stupid test.
That was a bad question, because who's going to know that,
Seriously.
Which of these communities, and I hate this, who doesn't hate the Governor Fishing Opener? Which of these communities have not hosted a Governor's Fishing Opener during Mark Dayton's time in office?
Oh, get out of here with this garbage question.
St. Cloud, Tower, Walker, Nisswa, Park Rapids.
St. Cloud,
Who
I
knows?
guess. I don't know. St. Cloud.
I guess. That's as good a guess as any. That is incorrect. You should have probably taken the furthest one away. Walker. That's kind of shocking, actually, is the correct answer. All right, number 8. What's the coldest fishing opener on record in Minnesota at International Falls in 1996 and 2004? 15, 19, 24, 28, 35. If I was a betting man, I'd go with the coldest one here, but
I'd say 15.
go with your instincts. That is incorrect. 24 degrees.
Yeah,
that's kind of shocking.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah.
Oh, all right, last one, but you probably already flunked. Which of these is not one of the 10 most common lake names in Minnesota? It's kind of interesting.
Okay, I might be able to get this one.
Clear, long, bass, mud, or rice. Boy, those
Mud.
are all tough.
Mud.
Mud's a good guess just because it's the
It's mud.
lamest.
It's mud. If I get this right, hold on, Pete. If I get this right, I'm still a great Minnesotan.
Absolutely you are. And the answer is clear.
What?
Yeah. And it even says clear, clearly. Just to rub it in a little bit.
It's supposed to be, that question was the least used name in Minnesota?
It's kind of worded more confusing than I'm willing to deal with.
Don't even, whatever. That's a bogus,
Which of these is
stupid-
not one of the 10 most common lake names in Minnesota? So clear
I
is
would've said
not
mud.
in the top 10.
Okay.
You had it right.
All right, whatever.
You were thinking correctly, but you still got it wrong. So let's view the results. And
They're going to
says
kick me out of the state.
3 out of 9 scored 33% result. It says, sorry, you're fish food. All right.
That's terrible, dude.
Sorry to put you through that, but we learned something, I hope.
Well,
so anyway.
Speaking of the opener, so I have an outdoor news here, okay?
Yeah.
Which I really actually like this publication.
It's a great publication.
and
Newspaper.
Yeah, newspaper. That's right. And on the front here, okay. Speaking of a walleye opener, the headline: walleyes finicky on 2019 opener weekend. So you're telling me the whole state the walleyes were finicky?
Oh, I know. The articles that come out, they always talk about, a slow fishing opener, and I was up there the week of opener, and everybody was just...
Walleyes, that's why walleyes are tough, so tough to catch. I mean, when all of them decide to stop eating, I mean, it makes for very difficult fishing, as we experienced in the 2019 walleye opener. So
yep.
They are a very, very tough fish to catch.
Without a doubt. You have to be some sort of brilliant and excruciatingly bored person.
And here's the other thing here. They have an article. This is great. And it's called The Rise of the Bass. The Rise of the Bass. It's a question mark. It's right here, the article, okay? The Rise of the Bass, as if it's like Terminator, like the rise of the machines, Like, are we doomed? And bass is in red. So whenever I see red, I think, oh, that's, terror or something. So if you go to page 17, it's right here. The rise of both largemouth, smallmouths growing in range numbers. Are bass expanding the range in Minnesota? That's a question that's been pondered by fisheries managers and researchers in their quest to better understand what a warming climate might mean for lake ecology in the state. I haven't read this article, but it seems a little bit like this is like a doom and gloom, kind of like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What are anglers in the state going to do if bass take over and eat all their walleye fingerlings?
It's terrifying. It's like if pile worms came in and ate us, everybody,
Here's have you noticed anything like in newsstands, lately? So I had I couldn't find one of the worst publications to me is like Field and Stream or Outdoor News. I mean, that's such a throwaway. That's a magazine that someone gets if they're like, well, I might want to try doing a little fishing. I need a
right. I'd like to go outdoors.
So I look at those magazines. I go, this is a magazine that this newsstand, this little shop in the airport's like, well, we got to cater to the outdoor. Let's just get the Outdoor News or the Field and Stream. I can't stand those publications.
Outdoor Life.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, Outdoor Life is what I meant. I might have said something else.
Yeah.
So whenever you find like an Outdoor News or an In Fisherman, it's always nice. I couldn't find I did find Catfish Insider, so I was happy about that. I found like Branson in a gas station.
That's a miracle.
But one thing that was fascinating to me, Pete, everywhere I went, okay, I found, here's Rolling Stone, the weed issue, okay? Here's Willie Nelson on the cover, okay? Oh, and look at here. Then, this was in Springfield at the airport. Pretty conservative place, right?
No doubt.
Newsweek, weed 2.0.
Oh my God, I have those sitting in my store because it gets people to grab them off the newsstands,
This whole Newsweek has marijuana advertisements. Yeah. So, boy, you can't find an In Fisherman, but boy, if you can find magazines talking about weed.
You were naturally gravitating towards Willie Nelson smoking a blunt on the cover of Rolling Stone. It's hard not to look.
Times are changing, and I would say that we're pretty close to having at least in this state, legal, and I think even federally it's pretty close. When you have Newsweek, this is a big, thick magazine here, Pete.
Yeah, I think federally it's not that close, but Newsweek just knows how to sell magazines.
Well, boy, if there's a way that I can figure out how to invest in this particular crop, I'd love to do it.
That's a good investment because those cigarette companies have all their campaigns ready to roll.
Yeah.
They're just waiting for the green light.
It's fascinating. So there's two things I want to cover here real quick, and then we could probably wrap this up if you're okay with that.
Or are we going to skip? I teased the walleye guy, but we can do that next week.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, North Dakota walleye, that New York Times article I sent you.
Oh, okay. If you want to talk, I mean, this stuff I can go through really quick.
we can go through it. Let's just wrap up with that. We'll hit the record walleye guy next week.
Okay.
So biggie.
Sounds good. One thing that, I put the kayak video up, fishing for smallmouth, thick, in wood on Tuesday, fishing out of a kayak, And so I'm a kayak angler. The biggest reason I'm a kayak angler is that I can't afford a fishing boat yet, okay? And that's the great thing about kayaks, is that it allows people to get on the water for not a lot of money. One thing I've noticed, because I've had bass boats, and with bass boats, any fishing boat, there is a trailer matched to the craft. Okay, so when it comes to, like, for instance, like tracker boats, okay, I've had a nitro boat. Well, the nitros, they have a trailer that's perfectly suited for that. It's designed for that boat. So
Right,
Tracker Trail Star trailers, it's they make.
When you pull into the ramp, it's like you're at the Met Gala. Like, you're so perfectly accessorized.
Right. My frustration in the kayak world, dude, is that there are no good kayak trailers.
No.
And so everybody's going to, like, Home Depot or something and getting these just regular trailers and then just slapping the kayak on there and then just cinching them down and everything. It's like, what a business idea it would be. And, New Canoe should do this. And been meaning to send them an email or something. It's like, have you guys ever thought about making kayak trailers specifically for their kayaks?
Yeah, how is that not happening?
And so, if you had an entrepreneurial spirit, you could go, you know what? I'm going to get in this business. I'm going to make trailers that are specifically suited to different kayaks. Kayak fishing is huge right now, and so it's like, why isn't someone making a trailer that is fitted, for particular kayaks? And then, you can it's just, you can make some maybe just for, just one kayak or two, but just better kayak trailers. I'm just amazed that they're all, and this might be tremendously boring to you, Pete, but I'm telling you, there's such there's an opening there for someone to come in and really provide a product, because it's terrible.
Well, and kayaking is just, like, especially in the last 2 years, specifically kayak fishing has really blown up because it opened, like you said, it opened the doors to a lot of people that are like, I can't go drop $30,000 on a boat.
Dude. These bass boats in particular,
yeah, I know, but
they're $70,000, Pete.
Yeah, but the average Joe is not looking at a $70,000 boat, but you still end up dropping 20 to 30 grand on a decent fishing boat,
Right. Yeah.
But a kayak, you can, under $2,000, if you want to, you get out there for $500,
Yeah.
But yeah,
exactly.
it's crazy that there's nobody that has a trailer. Like, doesn't anybody sell a kayak that has a trailer designed specifically for it?
No, zero. So I need to talk to someone at New Canoe and go, guys, you should take, see if you can get into this business, because not only could you provide, matched trailers for your different New Canoe models, the Frontier, the Pursuit, and their Flint. You could also, if you wanted to, make just trailers for any brand,
Yeah,
and people would eat it up. Like you should see what these guys are doing with their kayaks.
It could be a narrow trailer. It doesn't even need to be deluxe.
No,
just two wheels.
Dude, I would give anything to have a trailer that I could, you at the ramp, you kind of dump the trailer in a little bit, and I could just, like a regular boat, I could just paddle or trolling motor that thing right onto the trailer. I'm telling you, it doesn't exist, Pete.
It wouldn't even need that third wheel. I mean, you can physically move that thing around with a kayak on it,
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. But why are you giving that idea? Why shouldn't you be like...
Because I don't have any way to do any of that. I don't want to even try it, but it's I don't have the time. I don't know how to make anything. I don't know.
You have entrepreneurial spirit, though.
You like that? I've used that term a few times in our podcast. The entrepreneurial American spirit.
It's my favorite band of the 80s.
Entrepreneurial spirit?
Yeah.
It's like a corporate, like, stock music, title. So lastly here, dude. So as you know, last week I was in Branson filming stage 6 of the Bass Pro Tour, okay? Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour. On the last day, I was with an angler named Jacob Wheeler. And Jacob Wheeler is a phenom, dude. He is one of the best anglers I've ever filmed. He's got everything, dude. As far as he's like a Van Damme.
Does he have that engine like Van Damme?
Yes.
Because that seems to be the key factor. Like, you just drank 12 Red Bulls and now you're going fishing.
Well, what Van Damme did, when Van Damme came on the scene in the, 90, everybody was, slow, dude. Like bass fishing. They were like
Jimmy Houston.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And Van Damme came on the scene, and he's just he's aggressive and efficient. And he's like, I'm going to make as many pitches in a day, or as many presentations in a day, do as many bass. And at the end, in the long run, I'm going to beat your ass with it, because it's a numbers game. It's a mathematical equation. If I can present this jig in more docks than you, I'm going to wipe your butt at the end of the day. That's really been his formula in a lot of ways.
Like Wayne Gretzky once said, the great hockey player Wayne Gretzky, you make 0% of the shots you don't take.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right?
That's exactly right.
You got to be in the water.
That's exactly right. And so what Van Damme's done is lifted a whole, he's raised the bar for a whole generation. So you got these new anglers that are just, a lot of them fish that way, and Jacob Wheeler's one of them. Power fisherman, he can do all techniques, but he's primarily a power fisherman, which is like spinner baits, chatter baits, moving,
Right.
And so anyway, so I was with him on the last day, and with Major League Fishing, the Bass Pro Tour, you have two 15-minute breaks. So you 2.5 hours of fishing, then you have a 15-minute break, then 2.5 hours and a 15-minute break, and then the last period and tournament's over. So.
And what, those guys on breaks, are they shoving sandwiches in their mouth, or are they rigging?
Some of them are. Most of them are ringing. I'm shoving Lunchables in my mouth, So Jacob, like a lot of these young anglers, sees what's happening on YouTube, okay? And so Jacob's done really well. He's making good money, okay? He's hired full-time camera guys and editors. So he's got 2 guys that follow him. All right. So during one of the breaks, his camera guys come up, and I've talked with one of them before, a guy named Brody, about YouTube, and shared some beers.
They're not in the boat when you're doing Major League Fishing, though.
But they're
right. They're just around covering the event.
They're next to me, though. They're next to us. They're shooting their own video. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then when he had
during Major League Fishing, he can do that.
His
the same
camera
footage?
crew is it's like they're just in another boat. They're just long lenses filming them fishing.
Huh.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it just seems like you're essentially using their tournament as your footage somehow. That seems like that would you would have signed off on something.
They're if anything, it's good for Major League Fishing too. So
I guess
anyway, so they were at a break, and they come over, and they're getting behind the scenes stuff with them, And I know one of the camera guys, and so then they start filming me, because this is the camera guy that's with Jacob, So I start going on a spiel about, hey, you need to subscribe to another fishing show. You guys are gonna love it, And this is what I do. I have a part of my personality that is I'm a self-saboteur, okay? and it's I don't know why I do this, but it's there. It's there.
Right.
Okay.
It's one of the things I love about you.
So I know that Jacob is sponsored by Guggen Baits, okay? So Guggen Baits is the Guggen Squad's own line of soft plastics for bass.
And they sponsor that dude with their own line, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Jeez.
So I said, yeah, you need to check out another fishing show. You're going to love it. It's even better than the Guggen Squad. And so Jacob then just says, he goes, you know, you're doing so well up until that point, you know. And I'm like, that's about right. That's about right.
It's like the editing room floor. Like, you could just hear the clip landing.
So, yeah. So then I was like, do I like try to find Brody, you know, his camera guy at like a bar later and say, hey, Brody, you know, do I try to slip him like, you know, $50, you know, get that in there, you know, just, you know, do some clever editing, you know. You got plenty of places you can cut away to, you know. You got a lot of different angles. Just cut away where I talk about the Guggen Squad being better than the Guggen Squad. But then I was like, do I want to be that sad? So then I just said, forget it, whatever.
That's a great story, though, like, because I know how you can turn it on, and you know those guys are looking for usable footage, you know, because it's probably not that exciting of a shoot because they're not really involved in it. They're long distancing, so you're like, well, if I jump in here and give them some good meat to chew on, you know, they'll probably use it, you know, but then you drop one line that just nixes the whole situation.
And what I was trying to feel, I was like, was Jacob, you know, did he find it insulting, you know, to the Guggen Squad, or does he not, like, I couldn't figure out whether he's like, doesn't want to hear about the Guggen Squad. So I couldn't, you know, I was like, I don't know if he's sick of them getting these crazy views on YouTube, and he's, you know, it's all about Guggen Squad, YouTube, and, you know, fishing, it's Guggen, Guggen, Guggen. I couldn't judge that. So I'm like, I'm not.
Let's just, so then you were just like, all right, well, let's just move on to the second half of our tournament day.
So
and
I
pretend
put
like this
that
never
real
happened.
heavy camera back on my shoulder, and I continued to make him look like a superstar.
Oh, that's great.
I'm like Jacob. Listen, I've been on the boat a ton with Jacob. I'm like, Jacob, for crying out loud, dude, you know, throw me a bone here, brother. But I was like, I can't be that person. You know, I was like, I can't. That's so douchey.
It's annoying because that's what he'll remember. That's what he'll remember about you too. You know.
I don't ever want to be that person that's groveling. No. That's like, you know, like. I was like, forget it, dude. It ain't worth it.
We're gonna do it the hard way, like the unsuccessful way. We're
gonna do it the tedious, grinding. You know, it's gonna. I mean, we are gonna. Here's the thing, Pete.
I want to pass 10,000 subscribers on my 70th birthday. That's my goal.
That's what I think we're heading. Absolutely.
Hey, we need to wrap this podcast up because my my new puppy just took a piss on the bed.
I'm sorry.
So I think I need to assist my wife with
it's a good call. It's a good call.
You know what it's like to put, like, I hate that I even know this, but a duvet cover is like that thing that covers your, you know what I mean by that?
I have no idea, dude.
It's like a cover, you know, when you get this big cozy blanket and there's like an inside to it, you know, that you have to take out that's separate.
All I know that when I've stayed at your house, I've never seen so many pillows before in my life. It takes about 30 minutes to make your bed.
Hey, is it better to have too many pillows or not enough?
Here's the other thing, too. Like, I got to, you know, maybe I shouldn't talk about some of this stuff. I got to kind of like, should I mention this?
Well, this late in the podcast, nobody's left. I mean,
okay.
We're an hour and a half in now.
Like, my wife and I we kind of live like college kids. You know, our house is like really pretty filthy. And it's not like I think that my wife should clean it. I don't feel that way at all.
Right.
You know?
You're just content.
I go to your house, dude. And it's pristine. But your house is always like even your like in the old days, dude. Like your mom, you know.
It's built into my. It's like the.
Is it you? Is it your wife? I've never your house, dude.
It's a combination.
Do you get a house cleaner? You get a housekeeper? What?
We do have a housekeeper like every couple of weeks, but it's for the most part the both of us. But this is kind of an ADD thing, you know, like that I appreciate that I have because it keeps me organized. And I'll tell you, like, in the grocery world, you know, like where I have a business that has, you know, 10 or 15,000 items on the shelves that everything has to be in its place and look right. Like, it is the best skill to have for that line of work.
What's fascinating, what I find fascinating about you is that you are the most organized person and clean person that I've ever met. And yet, when it comes to like, you look at the first, our first 6 feature episodes, there's this haphazard quality to you, though, as well. Like, and I'm like, I just don't know how it all works. It's fascinating to me.
It is. So if anybody wants to come see my clean house, you're more than welcome to. That, of course, is not a real offer. In case you're a stalker.
We have a few subscribers that I don't even want to meet them.
All right. Well, we do want to wrap this up, Greg. Is there anything, closing comments you'd like to?
No, I'm sorry, Pete. The Musky show will happen at some point.
All right, Musky show is coming. Find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram. If you want to hear another fishing podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube for some reason, you have to search Another Fishing Podcast on iTunes or Spotify. Podcast, not show. Another Fishing Show on YouTube, Another Fishing Podcast everywhere else. Remember, folks, don't leave your night crawlers in the sun. It's a terrible smell. And podcast number 16 is a huge success. So we will see you guys next week.